For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dlamini. African Transformation Movement President Vuyolwethu Zungula joins me to discuss the ATM's manifesto. Welcome, Vuyolwethu.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so briefly tell us about the ATM's values for people who might not be familiar with your party, and tell us why South Africans must vote for your party.
Our values, it's peace, ubuntu, transformation, servant leadership, as well as accountability. If you take the first letters of these words, they spell out put South Africans first. That is the lifestyle of and the culture of this political party. South Africans should vote for us because we're a party that has been formed by the people. We're not a political party that has been formed by politicians, because you find that when politicians do not succeed in other political parties, they run to form other political parties. But this one is formed by the people, is led by people who are not involved in politics, because people generally feel politicians are not doing their best to serve our people.
Talking about the issue of politicians jumping from this party to the next party. When I attended your briefing, I noticed that you were referring to yourselves as the servants.
Yes.
Because we normally hear political leaders referring to themselves as comrades. Why servants?
We want to embed the identity that a political organization should comprise of people that seek to serve the people. It must always be about serving the people. So that is the kind of attitude that you want to embed and entrench on our members.
In your manifesto, I noticed that you said it's unacceptable for South Africans after 25 years that we're still dealing with corruption, lawlessness, and even lack of peace and security. What does the ATM plan to do to deal with such issues?
We cannot dilly-dally about such issues. We need to have a tough stance on corruption, on crime and lawlessness, because we want South Africans to enjoy a good quality of life. Now, we can't beg criminals to stop what you call terrorizing our communities. We can't beg the corrupt to stop misusing public funds. So we're going to take a hard approach on such issues.
And it has become a norm that government health facilities are deteriorating. But I'm sure the ATM has something that has to offer should South Africans vote for it. What do you have in your plans to resuscitate or restore the health facilities in our country?
At the crux of the problems we face in the country, the ATM is looking for to have permanent solutions to the problems in which we face. Now, the major problem that we have people who are in government who do not have the best interests of the people at heart. Therefore, we find that the infrastructure is there and the policies are there, but we do not have key drivers because we do not have the right people. So without sorting that problem of who do you have in government, meaning the kind of a person that you have, will always have the same problems, because today it will be health, tomorrow it will be something else, because the people who are in government do not have the right character to lead this country.
So President Cyril Ramaphosa recently appointed a committee that was meant to deal with stabilizing our economy. What is your stance on that issue? How would you make sure that jobs are created and also that you resuscitate our GDP?
For that, we want the economy to be owned by South Africans. Now, for any economy to grow, firstly, you need the money circulating in the country. If we start at the micro level, you find that South Africans are not owning the economy, which is in the townships, rural areas and inner city economies. So as the ATM, what we're saying is that economy must be owned by South Africans. There is no foreign national that should be allowed to participate in that sector. Now, on the microeconomy, we need a skills revolution so that the minerals in which we have, we process them in the country and we sell them as finished goods to the rest of the world. It can't be that South Korea and Japan, they buy raw materials from us and they manufacture all of the cars, all of the electronics in those countries, and they sell back to us at ridiculous prices. So what we want as ATM, it is to have permanent solutions in the economy by processing all of the minerals, rich minerals in which God blessed this country with, in the country, as well as owning the microeconomy.
You spoke about the foreign nationals. I come from a township and I know that they've taken over a lot of the shops. Are you going to kick them out of the shops? What are you going to do? Because now it has turned out to be like a big industry on its own in our communities.
Yes. If you remember back, I could say back in the day, our parents used to own shops. You could know in a township that a certain spaza shop is owned by a certain family in something. Now, that created livelihoods for our people. As the ATM, we prioritize livelihoods over jobs because not everyone wants to be employed. Now, our plan, it is to make bylaws that will make it illegal for any foreign national to participate in that in that sector of the economy. If you go to the fastest growing economies in Africa, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Nigeria, they've got similar laws because the microeconomy is the base for the economy, particularly for the unskilled people in the country. So if we do not have a microeconomy that is owned by South Africans, our economy will keep on getting drained and drained, and our economy will never grow.
But what would you say to people who might say that you are creating a xenophobic environment if you say that they are not allowed to work in the townships?
It's not xenophobic to protect and prioritize South Africans in their country. Because if this was xenophobic, I'm sure Zimbabwe would have been called xenophobic because they've got similar laws, Ethiopia and all of these other countries that I've mentioned. If a person can do their research, you find that there's almost all countries in Africa, they've got sectors in their economy which is for the exclusive use of their citizens. So South Africa is just catching up with the rest of Africa.
How are the provinces receiving your party, and what kind of issues do you get from people on the ground?
We are receiving the party, the provinces are receiving the party quite well. The major issue, people have lost faith in politics and politicians because of the disappointments of the past 25 years. So the key issue is, why should we trust you? Because it's just a matter of trust.
Exactly.
Now, with us as the ATM, like I said earlier on, we're a party that has been formed by the people. Myself, I've never been in any political party. I'm not a career politician. I do not have ambitions for myself. The only ambitions I have, it is for South Africans to enjoy a good quality of life. Now, that is the main issue. Then the other socio-economic issues, they are important, but the key issue, you're a new party. We've always had new parties. What is different about you?
The giant power Eskom received a 13.8 tariff increase from NESA. What is the ATM's plan to resuscitate our SOEs?
With the SOEs, you need qualified people because we've got so many qualified people who are not placed in the right SOEs because of political parties prioritizing their people over the experience and people with expertise. So if you check Eskom, I think it was 2001 when it was voted amongst the best performing SOEs in the entire world. Now, the question is, what kind of leadership was there? Now, you need to have quality people in the SOEs to run the SOEs profitably.
A group of youth resigned yesterday from the ATM. One of the reasons, they said that your party does not have the right, does not give members the right to speak out and to even vote on the political matters in your organization. How would you respond to that?
It was one person who resigned from the party. 2 weeks ago, we had a list where we were unpacking the lists for provincial and national legislature. Now, it is common cause that other people, when they do not make it to the list, they'll be disappointed. The ATM is a coming together of ordinary South African citizens. Now, you find that many people coming from other political parties, they need to get used to the kind of environment, the kind of politics in which we offer, because we have a humanistic approach to politics. Other people, they thrive on the other ways of approaching politics. So you find that when they in the ATM, they cannot adapt. Hence, they find it difficult for themselves to stay in the party. So I think that is the major reason why the only one, because it's only one person. The other members, the other people that were there, they were not members of the party. You can't even track them on our membership list.
Oh, okay. And how are you planning to make sure that South Africans who are receiving grant maybe get better than what they are getting now? Do you support the issue of South Africans getting grant, or are you against giving South Africans grant?
At the moment, all South Africans who deserve to be given grants should get it. But as a government, we need to work towards having people that are self-reliant. Therefore, our approach to the grant system, it is not to create a state of dependency on the government for grants. Hence, we will prioritize youth, because if young people are skilled now, then the young people in the near future won't be needing grants because they can afford everything that they need. So we do support that. Currently, we cannot live without having a grant system, but in future, we'll need to work towards eradicating through skilling our young people.
Talking about young people, do you have a plan to deal with the issue of unemployment, especially in the youth?
Yes, what we want to have, we've got many SOEs which have the infrastructure. Now, when I spoke about the skills revolution, we want the young people to be taken up by these SOEs. That is where they should be getting the necessary training. If you look at the capacity of Telkom, Transnet, SAA, all of these SOEs, they've got capacity to train many young people. Now, because you find that many young people do get qualifications, but they do not have training. Now, they do not have any experience. That is why we want them to be trained properly through the SOEs.
And lastly, how would you encourage South Africans to vote on the 8th of May? Because we are aware that there are South Africans who have registered, but who are fed up, who are saying there's no need to vote.
I think I can just remind them in 1994. A lot of people in 1994 were fed up with the government. But if they did not vote, we could not live in such changed country from what we had before 1994. So without people actually going to the voting stations, they cannot expect change. You do not get change by sitting at home and not voting. You actually need to support change and vote for a transformed new South Africa.
And vote for the ATM.
Definitely, because the ATM, the difference between the ATM and other political parties, we are not a breakaway. We are not led by what you call politicians who thrive on being in politics for themselves. This is a coming together of the people who are saying, look, we've trusted politicians for a very long time. Now we need to fix our country ourselves, because we cannot depend on anyone else. If it's not us who's going to fix our country, who's going to fix our country? So that is what the ATM is all about.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
That was Vuyolwethu Zungula speaking to Polity about the ATM's manifesto.